welcome to another video episode of my podcast. My name is Cheryl, and this is Cappuccino Crafts, my little channel on YouTube and my corner of the general interwebs where I like to talk about knitting and sometimes crochet and books and TV and movies and life and other general chatty things that I want to share with you. So thank you very, very much for choosing to watch this video and spend a little bit of your time with me. I really hope that you enjoy it, and please settle in, get yourself a delicious beverage, and let's have a lovely visit. So there are really no crafts to talk about today. I have not gone back to finish the small KAL just because I don't want it to be done yet. And I don't want to have to start another project. So I'm just kind of, I don't know, waiting until I have inspiration for another new project so I won't feel bad when I finish the cowl. Yeah, that's where we are. So reading has been going great, and also I celebrated Easter. My family's always celebrated Easter. So if you also celebrate Easter, I hope that you had a wonderful time and that it was a very nice Easter for you and your family if you were able to be with them. I was able to visit my parents, and that is only a recent thing. Early in the pandemic, my parents did have to move to a 24-hour care home. So it's been nearly a year, and for that whole time, we have had video calls, but, because of everything, specifically, the pandemic, visiting them in person really could not happen. Although they did arrange for some outdoor visits a long time ago when the weather was nice, before it turned winter. But since that visit, it's only been video calls, which are a lot better than voice calls and a lot better than nothing. But in the last 3 weeks, they have opened up for visiting inside the building. So I have been able to visit them and spend time in their room with them. And that has been great. That has been so, so great. So on Easter Sunday, I did spend part of the day with them visiting. And I did make a special dinner for myself. Later when I got home, I did a nice steak and I roasted some potato. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do like a ham, like anything big, so steak was so easy and delicious. I do like a good steak, so I was quite happy with that and had a glass of red wine, and it was very relaxing and nice dinner. So that was Easter Sunday, and today it is Monday, April 5th. And yeah, reading has been going great. I am nearly approaching 2/3 of Black Sun. And it is getting so good. Like, things are really starting to kick up, and it is maybe about 10 days left until the solstice and solar eclipse, when everything is just going to collide and hit the fan. So yeah, it is so good. All the hype, like, this book definitely lives up to the hype, and I'm so glad I'm reading it. I love the writing style. I love the storytelling style. I love the world. It is such a vivid world that she's building, and the characters are complex. There's so much politics. And everybody has a side and an agenda and a point of view. And even the people who you would assume were like the super evil people, they're not like. Definitely, there are people that are a lot worse than other people. It's not like everybody's like the same level of gray, but there are no simple problems and no simple villains that are just purely a villain. And some of the people who, on the outside, at first, when you meet them, you might think, ooh, they're going to be a real big bad. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. So it is just so good. And the other book that I am still reading is The Widow of Rose House by Diana Biller. And yeah, just checking my notes to make sure I got her name right. And I'm still feeling about the same way as I felt about it last week when I recorded. I'm interested enough. I'm not loving it. The tone is not like the gothic spooky tone that I was hoping for. And it's definitely much more like, it's definitely a real centered on the romance for sure. And yeah, and that's not necessarily bad, but it's not what I was wanting from this book. And I wish that they would let the haunting part of the story be maybe slightly more developed and slightly like spookier, ghosty tone. Yeah. And then I just left it. I just quit reading like in the middle of a really steamy scene. It's actually the only steamy scene that's been so far. And yeah. Not that it isn't steamy, because it really is. And not that I was hating the writing of it. I wasn't. But that just kind of shows how I'm not even super invested in their romance. That I could just like drop it in the middle of steamy times. So, yeah. But I do want to finish it. I want to get the answer about the house and the haunting. Because this genius inventor slash paranormal investigator did find something, and then he got all distracted by the steamy times. But I wish he'd go back to what he was discovering, because that's what I want to know more about. So yeah. So those are the books that I'm still reading, and I did finish 2 books this week. Um, I finished The Haunting of Tramcar 015 by P. Jelly Clark. This is the second installment of, I think they're calling it the Fatma series or the Cairo series. It's set in Cairo, in like alternative history Cairo, around like 1913. And it's like steampunk but magic, basically, is the vibe. And Fatma, she was the main character and the detective, the paranormal like detective in the first short story. She's not in this novella, and this is longer than the short story. It is novella length, but there's new characters and new detectives in the same ministry. It's like a ministry of paranormal, magical crimes and mysteries. So I was afraid that I wouldn't really like the new characters, because I had already heard that that Fatma wasn't going to be in it. So I was like, I wonder if I'll enjoy the new characters and how I'll like it. And thankfully, I do like the new characters, and I really did enjoy. I love the world, like this steampunk but magic, like 1913 Cairo. He builds it with such detail, and it's so like cosmopolitan and urban and multicultural. And because of how things happened in this timeline or alternative history, when the barrier between like magic and our world was opened up, Cairo has become like a massive trade and cultural and political center of the world. So it's a great world he's built. I love being there, and I enjoyed the new characters, and I'm hoping that since the established character cast is expanding, that means that this could be a long running series. I hope so, because more characters can sustain a longer series. And Fatma does make a cameo appearance. She's not completely absent, but it's a pretty short little cameo. But it was nice to touch base with her again too. And yeah, it was a good mystery, a very challenging case for these detectives, and I liked it was a very mysterious and very creepy haunting, and it was, like I said, a very challenging and even dangerous case. So I really enjoyed it. That's The Haunting of Tramcar 015. And yeah. I also finished and started, because this is another novella, so it was very quick, The Night Masquerade, which is the third and the final Binti novella by Nadia Korafor. So yeah, this was the conclusion of the Binti series, and it wasn't bad, but I was really disappointed. I like in book 2, my like I was really blown away by what she was doing with the themes and with the characters. And my expectations from there were set super high. And I just was disappointed in how things got wrapped up. And yeah, I just felt like it went back to some really kind of usual tropes. And not that tropes are inherently bad, they're not. They're even useful, and there are even tropes that I love, like they're tropes that I really love. These were not tropes that I loved, and I just felt like it turned a character that could have been so interesting and so complex. It just kind of turned her into just another magical chosen one. And that was a disappointment to me. And I kind of just felt like for how, yeah, I don't want to give spoilers, so it's kind of difficult to say specifically without giving spoilers, and I don't want to. So I'm just going to say things ended very conveniently, too conveniently, and too. I felt like there were no consequences. Yeah, I felt like the consequences of the things that had happened just got wiped away. And yeah, so, you know, it's still an interesting world that she built. And, you know, there were still some, like, you know, I like the writing style fine, and there were some really interesting things that happened, but overall, I just felt really disappointed. Yeah. I know that a lot of people, because I've been reading other reviews after, like, how I felt about it, and I know that it's not disappointing for everyone. So, you know, you may not have the same reaction. A lot of people still, like, really like it. And even with my disappointment, I wouldn't call it bad. I just had my hopes and my expectations built up so high from the second book that and it's hard with a series, like, finales often are not great. It's hard to end a series really well and really satisfyingly. So I'm, you know, a lot of trilogies, a lot of series have disappointed me in their endings. I so you know, and this is not the worst. This is not the worst disappointment that I've had from a finale by far. So yeah, take my disappointment with a grain of salt. Because it may be different for you. And if you read the whole series, I hope it is different for you. I hope that you love it. But yeah, that's my reading. And with that, I think we've come to the end. I really don't have anything else to really talk about. So, wherever you are, I hope you and your family and all of your loved ones are well and safe. And I hope if you are working on your creative projects, I hope they are going really well and that your vision is blossoming before you and it's meeting all of your hopes for what you wanted it to be. And I hope that you're loving the books that you're reading. I hope that you are being taken to some wonderful worlds, some wonderful places in your reading. And talk to you next time. Bye bye.